Alright, so I know you've already read the title and some of you are like, oh my god, there's a new video style, or oh my god, she's back from the dead XD, and oh my god, she finally made a new video, ah! But just as a word of warning, this story is a good example of what not to do as a D&D player. And I'm not talking about the campaign breaking, I'm just referring to me messing up as a player. So just remember, always add your attack mods, crit damage rolls, and don't forget to roll all your dice when doing an attack. Anyways, so we're in campaign and the usual storytime crew is here, but this time we're with Ren and Clementine who haven't been in a story yet. And I'm just gonna do a really quick plot dump because there's a bunch of stuff leading up to it that could be a video in itself, but that's boring, but the stuff's still necessary for you guys to know. And yeah. So there's a guy named H and Mary knew him. She knew he did crime and we went to his den. This happened a while back, but you need to know that. He ran an underground gang, but we didn't give a crap. He ran the crime with the dark persona. He seemed nice in town, but he wasn't really. There was a real big fight and Aaron died, and once that happened, people probably cried. Our party and H were left alone. He says he wants to take over, but we say no. So he takes Yob and traps him in prison. Then we think he's dead and people start to miss him. Then a person shows up. Her name is Clementine. Amir's robo dog almost bit her behind. Eventually Yob shows up with his crazy sister, and we're like, yay, and Mike is drunk. His not-evil sister friend's weird spy bot crushes it, then people barge in like what? We all start escaping with no real plan, but we travel to a bar far away from that land. Now we're stuck in a tavern with a goddess at our side. We're confused, disguised, and glad we didn't die. Now we jump back into the story, and that's it from your boy DJ Tori. That was fun. Back to the story now. So like I said earlier, we're in a bar, and we hear from the goddess Aurora, who's good buds with Yob, and she informs us that this one guy is so bad that she even wants H, whose real name is Harvard, dead. She explains that he's planning to become a god, and we all know that this guy's only into it for politics and money, so we're like, oh hell no. Then she decides to pull out this little sphere thing and scry into what Harvard's doing, and it works without him knowing that we're doing that. She sees him sitting alone, eating, and living a pretty normal life, and while she's watching him, Miri is having a few drinks to try to escape the fact that she should be dead and is going to die young before all her friends. Ren gets muted for shouting some offensive slurs, and there's some questioning of Yob's sister who tried to kill us before. Eventually Aurora sees Harvard go and talk to this dwarven man that's come to him, and after a little bit the man storms off and it leaves Harvard to state. She fills us in on some details, and as we're discussing plans for a while, the man shows up. He starts to tell us about Harvard going to a different dimension as part of a plan to get part of a crystal that has the power to create life or something. And after insight checking the guy like crazy, we found out he's actually refused to go with H, found us, and knew that H hates us and told us this before he was killed. So Aurora just kind of opens up a portal and just tells us, well, be dumb. Go after him. And we do, because why not? The party, without Aurora, Ashley, or Maik, appear in this heavily forested land similar to what you'd imagine the Feywild to look like, but only with flora and no creatures. We look around and we hear some footsteps in the distance, so we do what's smart and hide in the bushes. From those steps, we see a group of guards, about 20 or so, and in the front of them leading is their boss, H. Another thing about this whole situation is that H is a tiny bit salty from when Miri picked to work with her friends over working with him, and Miri just hates this jerk of a guy, so yeah. He walks over to this giant green crystal in the center of an old abandoned shrine of sorts that we somehow did not notice. As his men spread to the sides of him, he goes and chips a few pieces off from this giant crystal, and then a rumble strikes the ground. But after some time, the ground stops shaking, and the guards look around towards him, and he starts giving this speech about how great life will be now with this power. But as this is happening, Miri starts getting more and more mad, and with her new gun, she decides to go and shoot him. I roll a hit, and I roll a nat 20, which happens to be a reoccurring thing on this channel, I don't know why. But my gun does 48 damage, plus 5 total. And I roll for damage. 8, 7, 4, and 3. Originally, he describes the scene of him getting shot, and then a sudden thud to the head as he looks around, sees Miri, says, it's too late now, and I forgot to double the hit! You did? Yeah, it should be 44 damage. Well, he summons a green dragon anyway. So now the DM describes the scene of him getting shot after he summons a baby green dragon falling to the ground as a guard decides to take his body and I forgot to add plus 5! Are you kidding? So the ruling on the situation was that because I said it too late, it wasn't counted as a death that it would have been, aka when you knock a creature or enemy or PC's hit points down past their max doubled, and he was taken away by a guard, but I was not done yet. See, if you saw my Battle Royale video I did, you may remember the prize I received from that, which is a secret not secret, but in this moment of intensity, I decided to use it. I used my wish spell. and I wish to have Harvard killed right now. And at this point, everyone was going nuts, and our poor DM just looked so lost, but he allowed it for some reason. And he said, "As you see Harvard escape being the cowardly man you know he is, you harness the energy that you never knew you had before, and suddenly you feel a magical aura form all around you. And as you say this wish, you see the slightly rejuvenated form of H come before you, and as you snap your fingers, you cause him to turn to nothing right in front of you." So when this happened, all of H's men were mortified because of this magical murder, and now there was a green dragon created out of nothing without a master or moral compass just sitting there. So Clementine went over there and tried to tame the dragon. After some strange rolls and the fact that the dragon knew little to nothing about the world and that the DM had basically given up at this point, she managed to tame the dragon. So H's men were left, and Clementine did not feel like dealing with them, so she didn't. She asked her dragon to, and it did. After all that was over, we polymorphed the dragon into a small, scrawny dog to fit it through a portal. Then the DM just said we could transform it at will for simplicity, and the whole wish spell thing could have been used to avoid Miri dying later on, but oh well, this was worth it. Or not, because it caused the DM to scrap months and months of writing for that campaign, and just so you know, we didn't end up playing that campaign for a few months afterwards. And honestly, we had our DM debating about quitting that campaign right then and there. So moral of the story is, don't do what I do. Learn from my mistakes. Also, don't be an intentional jerk to the DM, even though we are a lot of the time. Don't do that. Alrighty, outro time, my dudes. So, thank you guys so much for watching this video. This video took a really long time to finish and put out, and it was kind of like a little test for me to see, hey, can I actually deal with doing animation and color? And I was able to, so it was kind of like a, hey, I did this for myself, like, holy crap, I did it. But also, like, I'm pretty sure you guys like this content a little bit, so that's pretty neat. Yeah, our campaign is all good at this point. That campaign actually ended up ending halfway through the making of this video, surprisingly. Not because of our fault, it was, the DM wrote it out. And, yeah, I still feel bad for the whole breaking the campaign for a solid, like, month, but then we ended up playing it again, and the DM has forgiven me a little bit for that, but hey, this video might do it. But yeah, I'm probably gonna make some sort of video relating to the end of the campaign, but not at the moment, because there's a lot of other video projects I want to end up doing now that, like, hey, people like my content, and yeah. Also, summer's coming up, so that means I got time. So, actually, I don't have a lot of time, but there's time available. So, yeah. Anyways, thank you guys so much for putting up with my upload schedule, and I hope you enjoyed the story. Like and subscribe if you want to. I'm not going to force you to do anything, and I will see you guys in my next artsy video of sorts. Bye!